Hello and welcome to another Tactical Corner. Today we look at the Space Wolf battle report that was released earlier this week. Let's dive in and improve our 40k game. Hello and welcome to Tactical Corner number 18. Make sure you check the other Tactical Corners that we've done in 8th edition. And this week is no different with a Space Wolf battle report. And in the Space Wolf army we had some Grey Hunters, some Blood Claws, some Sniper Scouts, Dreadnought, Predator, some Long Fangs, and a large unit of Primaris Space Marines supported by a Lieutenant and a Rune Priest. Now this is a hard-hitting Space Wolf army with a lot of different options. Something that I like to play against. Now my Dark Eldar army, quite eclectic, a bit of everything. Beasts, Flyer, some Raiders, a Ravager, a Venom, Cabalite Warriors, Witches, Racks, Trueborn, a Slith, a Succubus, an Archon. Essentially just an eclectic force. Now not necessarily a very tough army, but tactically has a tool for every job. The key is to use the tools tactically as the game happens. Now, we're playing a Maelstrom of War, and the board, looking at the terrain, it was quite even. There was some good line of sight blocking in the middle, some good line of sight blocking in the corners, a decent amount of area terrain. So my original plan for the game was simple. To make sure that I solidified my position in my deployment zone and then eliminated key enemy targets one by one. And that's how Dark Eldar have to play. You have to pick a target and you have to eliminate it to the exclusion of all else. Now my main targets this battle report were the Long Fangs and the Intercessors. Why? Well, the Long Fangs were one of the only things that could deal with my armor at range. So having to eliminate them, allowed my tanks to roam free. My Flyer, my Raiders, my Venom, my Ravager as well. So I had to eliminate them. The way I did that was with my Void Raven bomber, essentially flying over them and dropping a bomb on them to kill them. Now, on one flank, I overloaded it with my Archon, Cabalite Warriors, a Venom, the Witches, my Succubus, essentially to push up the flank. Now, I had purposely picked this flank because the Intercessors were on the far flank. This would reduce enemy firepower and will allow me to focus most of my strength on a weak point in the enemy army, which would be the Blood Claws and the Grey Hunters that were in the Rhino. Once the Long Fangs were eliminated, it was easier for me to deal with. Now, the Scouts had infiltrated at the top of a ruin, and thankfully the Razorwing flocks can fly. So the Razorwings were able to jump up, really mop up that unit of Scouts, and not really take much damage in return, but this cleared up the entire middle objective. In Maelstrom of War, you really have to focus on not only the objectives that you're getting now, but you have to know what the possibility is for an objective to be taken later in the game. So you have to pre-plan a lot of your attacks and a lot of your movement to be in a position to advance to other parts of the battlefield if needed on quick notice. Now, the Razorwing flocks were fantastic and they really proved to be a thorn in my enemy's side. Now, I'm not running too many of them, I was only running a smaller unit, but it really kind of meant the bane of my opponent's existence. Not only did they kill the Scouts, but then jumped in to the center of the board. One of the main mistakes my opponent did was to deploy his army all across the battlefield. Now, when you're playing an army like Space Marines, it's a lot easier to, or it's it's tactically sound to essentially pick one side or the other of the battlefield and put most of your army in that general vicinity, so that no matter what part of the enemy army comes to attack you, you're always able to use the best available forces to deal with the imminent threat. Now, because he spread out, I was able to eliminate small pockets of Space Wolf resistance one bit at a time. And this really prevented the Space Marines from bringing their full force to bear on the smaller, more elite and fragile Dark Eldar units. For example, the one hefty side, the Intercessors and the Predator, got bogged down by simply a few beasts and a raider. And this was me using my raider to advance and charge into the Predator, prevent it from shooting, and the beasts to hold an objective and really kind of, make the Intercessors think about coming towards my zone. Not that they would really survive against the Intercessors, but anything that causes the enemy to overthink and overanalyze really proves its weight in gold. Now, in the middle of the battlefield, my Razorwings jumped in and started pecking on his warlord, the Rune Priest, essentially pinning him in place and really adding to the narrative of the game. But this forced the Intercessors to move towards the center of the battlefield, because then my Witches, my Archon, the Slith, all dove in to that part of the battlefield, and the Intercessors were forced to move that way. That opened up my Beast pack to be able to continue to tie up the Predator. So in this case, I didn't have to eliminate the Predator. You can always just charge in a unit here, a unit there, prevent it from shooting, and it's almost as good, even better, than having to kill it, because it's not going anywhere and it's not shooting unless it has a rule that allows it to. So as I was wiping out the army on the opposite flank, and you can check the link down below if you want to see the battle report. Now, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Intercessors and Primaris Marines are quite efficient when it comes to damage, and I did get rather lucky with my Witches being able to eliminate them all. At the end of the day, it was the Rune Priest that did eliminate Archon Skari in hand-to-hand combat with a smite, and then charged in and got killed by the Trueborn with their blasters. The MVPs for this match were the Razorwing Flocks. I really like the Razorwing Flock, but don't rely on them too much. They're just a very good all-round harassment and screening unit. Yes, if you're running something like Venom Spam, you can really use the amount of warriors at your disposal, but I highly recommend you try them out. Well, I hope you enjoyed this Tactical Corner. Stay tuned for next Monday with another battle report, and if you'd like to support the channel, consider Patreon.